is John Paul Rai. I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan, and today I want to talk about how Amber Heard posted on Instagram that her and her friends took this road trip, kind of cross country. I don't have full details, but we could assume that she went a pretty long distance. And the thing is this: Amber Heard and her friends tell people to follow the rules, to wear a mask, and they preach about it. Now in this video, I'll admit I don't exactly have the evidence against Amber in the same way I do against her friends, but they were all together. So I'm going to assume that Amber went where they went, and it would be stupid to think that Amber wore a mask and her friends didn't. I would assume that all of them were going along in the same manner, but I'll get to that. So first here you can see the picture of them outside in the open. They're not wearing masks, and I'll admit, that's okay. If you want to wear a mask, if you feel like your rights are getting invaded, if you have to, whatever opinion you take, that's fine with me. And as you'll see coming up, if you're in the wilderness and there's no human beings around, yeah, I think it's kind of okay to take off your mask. No big deal. However, that wasn't the case every time. So here you see they're outside in the mountains, way away from civilization, and again, that's okay for me. They don't have to wear a mask if they're miles away and there's no one else in sight. Although they're in a group and they're together and they could have it and spread it to each other, I think most people would be cool with them not wearing masks in this type of environment. Eve Barlow, which is her friend: "My first Christmas, rode the Amtrak across the Southwest to a winter wonderland, the Widget Gorges, the bluest skies, and the most remote landscapes, where Jupiter and Saturn met the warmest, dorkiest, hardiest company, and my soul got a system reboot. Endless gratitude to those gracious, loving friends and this gorgeous planet, one that reminds us that while we must be humbled by the grand scheme of things, we can still be the stuff of legends." You know what? It's not the worst thing to write, but I'm featuring this because this is proof that she was, in fact, riding Amtrak, and she was, in fact, skipping around across the country or whatever. You see them again. Amber Heard says, "Merry, merry, nothing like having the ones you love close for the holidays. There is nothing in the world more valuable than that." And again, really, they're not doing anything incredibly wrong here. It's your own opinion whether you think they should be wearing masks in this group, in the wilderness, or not. At this point, that's fine. Her friend here, as you can see, says, "It shouldn't be required to say so, but in LA, I now believe has the worst case numbers globally. I walked past a woman in the street without a mask on. Complacency is killing people. Wear a mask." So she says, she tweets out, I'm pretty sure not just this tweet about wearing a mask. But you see, in these pictures, she's not wearing a mask. And this is not the worst of it. Like I said, this one's open to your own debate, your own personal preference on it. However, still slightly hypocritical at this point. But then, the infamous one, who's on Twitter by the way, and a pretty active person in the Justice for Johnny community, says, "Sorry, but isn't this also you? On behalf of the many who did not even get to see loved ones this season because we can't travel, fuck you, you're a hypocrite." Because she says apologies for radio silence, I was in the Wild Wild West. Now that is one other thing, is that not everyone can even travel. So just the fact that they were traveling, aside from wearing the mask or not in an appropriate environment, is secondary to the fact that they're traveling around, which I forgot. So don't get me wrong, I think overall it's a negative thing. But now let's get to the part that people got a little upset about, and I think mostly rightfully. Okay, so here it is. Alyssa says, "This you? Literally on public transportation with no mask. It's the performative activism and hypocrisy for me." So yeah, she is on the train here with no mask. Is the train crowded? I'm not totally sure, but it's not in the wilderness. It's a closed environment, and if you're going to preach about wearing a mask, you should definitely wear one when you're on public transportation. Now, what I was saying before is Amber Heard is in this group, so it would be stupid to think that she wasn't wearing a mask and Amber Heard was. Unfortunately, I don't have the evidence that Amber Heard wasn't wearing a mask on the train, but logic tells us in every single photo, Amber was maskless with all her friends as they were, so I have no reason to believe that on Amtrak, Amber Heard was wearing a mask. So Stacey here says, the double standards are unfucking believable. Maybe take your own advice, love, wear a mask, and possibly don't go across the country on your jollies in the middle of a pandemic, because you know, complacency is killing people, which is exactly what Eve tweeted out before, yelling at everyone. And Helgrafru says, if that's how you say his name there, this appears very hypocritical going on a vacation where masks appeared to be not something you wore during travel or when socializing closely. This is very non sequitur to the message above. Do you have an explanation, or was this a case of privileged virtue signaling? And as we know, Amber Heard does a shitload of virtue signaling. That's all she does. She did it just the other day, if you check a few videos down, about transgender people. Yeah, I'm all for transgenders having rights in the same way other people are, but I'm honest about it, and I'll speak critical about it. If there's a problem in one way, I'll say my mind. But Amber Heard will just pander to the crowd and pander to the crowd. So, that's what I got for you guys. Like I said, a little bit of a touchy subject, but I think most people would agree it's best to wear a mask on public transportation, at least. Better safe than sorry. Out in the wilderness where there's like nobody around, okay, I'm totally cool with whatever you think about that. But if you're going to be a hypocrite about it, that makes it a little worse. And I keep forgetting, like I said, just the fact that they're traveling when other people can't doesn't quite send out the best message. You guys, of course, let me know what you think down below. And I want to give a big shout out to Joanne Hess, who sent me some of these pictures. I really appreciate it. Big shout out to you. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. I'm doing Depth vs. Heard, Star Wars, pop culture, whatever comes up. If you don't subscribe, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.